Hey, basketball fans, Harrison Graham from Chat Sports. Basketball season is underway, and if you want the latest news, rumors, trade ideas, and a whole lot more, this is the channel for you. So I'm asking you guys to hit that big red button and subscribe today. The more subscribers we get equals the more videos we can put out just for you guys as the NBA season rolls along, and of course into the offseason as well. So go ahead and subscribe and hit that big red button. Let's get into some Bradley Beal trade rumors as the Wizards star continues to ball out at a very, very high level. But the unfortunate thing for Beal and the Wizards is that Washington stinks and has the worst record in the NBA so far this year. The Russell Westbrook fit hasn't worked out. He's been banged up and has missed some time. In this roster outside of these two players, well, it's just very, very bad. And it seems more and more likely that a trade could be coming before the NBA trade deadline. And I think that's best for Bradley Beal in the future of his career. Now, he's been getting ripped because of bad body language, apparently. Here's what he had to say about that, saying, look, if I'm sitting over there laughing and smiling, what is the media going to say? I just hate losing. I'm going to continue to show pissed off faces. That's what Beal had to say about that. And I don't blame him because he continues to put up 30 pieces and his team just can't win any games. So, will the Washington Wizards trade Bradley Beal? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Is it time for DC to move on from BB? I think it could be time because Bradley Beal has been loyal. He's wanted to make it work in DC, wanted to play with John Wall this year. They traded him for Westbrook. That hasn't worked out. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and type my Y for yes. And it's simple. First of all, a lot of teams are going to show interest in Bradley Beal, including a team like the Mavericks, I think the Lakers, possibly even the Warriors, and a few others as well. When it comes down to it, Bradley Beal deserves better than this. Bradley Beal deserves to be on a contending team. He is putting up numbers that really are kind of similar to what Harden's done in recent years, where he's putting up huge numbers, and at least the Rockets made a concerted effort to have talent around him. Sure, they tried to go get Westbrook, but the rest of this Wizards team is just not very good. 35.5 points per game. Over 5 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting almost 37% from 3, which is a pretty good number when every opposing team knows he's going to shoot the ball most times. He's shooting 48% from the field, by the way. Bradley Beal is having an MVP type of season, but he'll have no chance of winning it because his team freaking sucks. So I think it's pretty likely he gets traded. And I would like to see one of these teams get him. I think the Atlanta Hawks makes a lot of sense. I would love to fit with the Dallas Mavericks. I think if the Mavs got Bradley Beal and put him next to Luka and Kristaps Porzingis, that would make a whole lot of sense. How about the Denver Nuggets? They got a lot of ammunition, some trade assets, some draft picks as well. How about Golden State? You lose Klay Thompson, you bring Bradley Beal in next to Steph Curry. I think that could make a whole lot of sense for Bradley Beal as well. And then a team like the Lakers. Look, financially it's always going to be tough, but LA is always looking to improve their roster, and if they want to move guys like Kuzma and some other pieces as well, could you imagine a big three of Bradley Beal, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis? Yeah, that would be a whole lot of fun out there in Los Angeles. Whoever it is, I don't really care. I just think it's time for Bradley Beal to get onto a contending team because he deserves better than this just crap roster that he's dealing with Washington, considering he's putting up 35 every single night. So go ahead and predict it for me. Where will Bradley Beal play next? What will be the next team he plays for? Comment below. Let me know in the comment section. What team will Beal play for next? I want you guys to predict it right now. Let's get into the latest Warriors rumors and news. And Kelly Oubre trade drama, it's picking up some steam after a couple of things happened. So a report dropped about a day and a half, 2 days ago that Kelly Oubre could be on the move to the Pelicans after Golden State and New Orleans reportedly discussed a Kelly Oubre trade. Now, Steve Kerr was not very happy about this, that this became public. NBC Bay Area reported this, that, hey, the Pelicans came calling and they discussed Kelly Oubre Jr. and a possible trade. The Pelicans have struggled this year, and while the Warriors have played fairly well, Oubre hasn't played as great, and maybe they could do a swap that could be a benefit for both teams. And like I said, Kelly Oubre been up and down so far this year, and without Klay Thompson, the the Warriors are a good team, but are they a title contending team? Maybe, maybe not. If they are, they may want to consider a trade, and Kelly Oubre is one of their better trade chips. So Steve Kerr wasn't happy. So he said this after the game, says, look, it's unfortunate. Team called us and asked about him, didn't even make an offer, asked about Kelly. Next thing you know, it's online. I was really proud of Kelly. He handled it very well. He came in and had one of his best games with the Warriors. And then Kelly Oubre, I really liked what he had to say about this after he had a really excellent game against the Timberwolves after this all went down. Says, look, I'm a Warrior. Let's go get this effing ring. I love that attitude from Kelly Oubre Jr. He handled this like a pro, right? He went out there. He played one of his better games of the season. The Warriors got a win, and all is well. Now, that doesn't mean he's not going to get traded. That doesn't mean his name's not going to continue to be brought up in trade rumors. But Steve Kerr said some things like, hey, this is the tough part. This is where you really make your contract as an NBA player when your name's getting thrown around in the media. You know, fans and media members are ripping Kelly Oubre for not playing well this year. Now they're writing articles about him potentially getting traded. This is just the nature of this business. Your name's going to get thrown around. How do you handle it? Kelly Oubre handled it really well, had a positive attitude, play well, and said, hey, let's go get a freaking ring. I love that attitude from Kelly Oubre. Now, what do you guys think? Should the Warriors trade Kelly Oubre Jr.? Type T for trade, type K for keep. What do you guys think in the comments section? Would you trade Kelly Oubre to try and improve this roster? I want to hear from you guys right now. And like I said, you got to be happy about what Kelly Oubre did in response to all of this noise. 7 of 9, really efficient, 20 points, had 9 rebounds, 3 assists, almost had that double-double there, and played a really good basketball game, which is important moving forward because Steph Curry cannot do it all on his own. You brought in a guy like Kelly Oubre to help bring up that scoring from those secondary type of scores, which is what he's supposed to be. This year he's been kind of underwhelming. 12 points, 6 rebounds, just over an assist a game, and shooting less than 38% from the field, including less than 24% from 3. He's playing better. He's starting to, kind of get into the swing of things because he really started slow the first dozen or so games, but now he's starting to get his lift a little bit. I still think trade rumors could circulate around Kelly Oubre Jr. Now it's up to him to decide how he's going to handle it. So far, so good. I think the Warriors are in a good spot. I like the way they're playing right now, and he needs to continue to play at a high level if Golden State wants to make some noise in the Western Conference. And speaking of the Western Conference standings, top 4, Jazz won 10 games in a row. They're playing really well. The Lakers sitting there at 14-5, Clippers right there as well, and then the Denver Nuggets. But you look up, the Warriors, they're right there in the hunt, the number 6 seed at 10-8, right behind Portland, the Spurs, Grizzlies rounding out your top 8. The West is a beast. Team like the Dallas Mavericks, you expect them to play a lot better. Phoenix is going to be in the mix as well. It goes 10-11 deep out west. And for Golden State to be sitting there at the number 6 seed and Kelly Oubre hasn't played that well yet, imagine if you get Phoenix Oubre where he's giving you 17 or 18 a night and shooting mid-40s from the field. Then you're feeling really good about your chances to make a run in the postseason. So what do you guys think? Be honest. Are the Warriors title contenders? Kelly Oubre thinks they are. Type 1 for yes. Type 2 for no. Hit that subscribe button at youtube.com/WarriorsTV for more Warriors coverage. What do you guys think, though? Answer this question. Is Golden State a title contender this season? Type 1 for yes or type 2 for no. Now, we've got some NBA face coverings on sale at chatsports.com/NBA mask. A lot of these up to 50% off all of your favorite teams. You can get Mavericks ones. You can get Warriors ones. Solo packs all the way up to 4 packs at that link, chatsports.com/NBA mask. We got Lakers one. Again, solo packs up to 4 packs, including that 2-pack. Knicks, Celtics, all kinds of different face coverings available just for you guys. Pick your favorite team, pick your favorite style, pick the amount you want. They're on sale, up to 50% off. Chatsports.com/NBA mask. That link will be in the comments. It'll be in the description. Go ahead and pick up a face covering today. Let's get into the latest surrounding the Dallas Mavericks. How about a Victor Oladipo trade? This one's being thrown out there by Bleacher Report. A lot of trade rumors circulating the NBA and the Dallas Mavericks because, well, Luka Doncic needs some help around him. And Victor Oladipo could be an ideal secondary playmaker next to a guy like Luka Doncic. Obviously, Oladipo was part of that James Harden 4-team blockbuster. He's with the Rockets now. That feels pretty temporary. I think there's a really good chance Oladipo gets dealt before the NBA trade deadline, and I think Dallas could be a natural fit there because the Mavs really do need another player in that backcourt next to Luka that can handle the ball. Tim Hardaway's had a decent year. Oladipo's a playmaker, though, and I think he could really help the Dallas Mavericks. In limited games this year, over 20 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4.5 assists, just 34% from 3, but I think that number would go up exponentially if he were going to play with a guy like Luka Doncic. Victor Oladipo is starting to look like pre-injury Oladipo now that he's a full year removed from that surgery from a couple of years ago. I think he could give Dallas a major boost if they were able to trade for him before the NBA trade deadline. Bleacher Report threw this idea together. I think it's interesting. Oladipo to the Mavs for Tim Hardaway Jr., expiring contract, Josh Green, your rookie draft pick, and a 2025 first-round pick, which, what's that going to be worth? Late 20s? That's not going to be that much value. I think that's a decent trade if you ask me. So who says no? Type M for the Mavs, type R for the Rockets. Honestly, I don't think either team says no. Rockets get another first-round pick as they continue to commit to a rebuild, and Victor Oladipo heads to the Mavs, who's trying to enter that win-now window with Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis. The Mavericks need some help. And now, I'm not saying hit the panic button when you have two superstars under the age of 26 in Luka and KP, but Dallas has struggled so far this season. Now, they've been decimated with COVID. Dorian Finney-Smith, Josh Richardson, Maxi Kleber, Dwight Powell, Jalen Brunson all missed significant time due to the health and safety protocols in the NBA. But this team's 8-10 right now. All those guys came back, and they just lost to Donovan Mitchell less Utah by almost 20 points. Mitchell didn't even play in that game, and they got crushed. That's not a great sign. I think the next couple of weeks will tell us a lot to see if Dallas is going to be a big player in the trade market. I think they will be because Luka Doncic is a guy you want to keep happy because he's having another MVP caliber season, 27.5 points, almost averaging a triple-double there with over 9 rebounds and 9 assists per game. Kristaps Porzingis is back, but he's still working his way back from injury, and something that we've mentioned a lot on this show is that we don't know how much we're going to be able to rely on Kristaps Porzingis in Dallas. We just don't know. The injury concern, it's always going to be there with KP. And yeah, giving up Tim Hardaway in a Oladipo trade, it would hurt a little bit, but Oladipo's better than Hardaway. Let's be very, very clear about that. He's a better ball handler. Maybe he's not shooting quite as high of a percentage this year, but overall he's better. I just think he's a better fit, too, to give an extra playmaker next to Doncic. Tim Hardaway's not much of a playmaker. I like Josh Richardson. I like Jalen Brunson, but those aren't guys that should be, relied on to give you, legitimate scoring there. Oladipo's a legitimate scorer in this league. He's a 20-point guy. So you would have 3 20-plus point scorers if you brought him in next to KP and Luka. So I like this idea for the Mavericks. I think Oladipo gets dealt. We'll see if Dallas ends up being the team that gets him before the NBA trade deadline. Now, name a player the Mavericks should trade for before the NBA trade deadline. Go ahead and let me know. Maybe you think it's Oladipo. Maybe you think it's a different player. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. I think a secondary ball handler that can score makes a lot of sense. I think Victor Oladipo would be a big name, but you go ahead and get your votes in right now. Let's get to some Lakers trade rumors. How about J.J. Redick to the Los Angeles Lakers? Well, Shams Charania of The Athletic has reported that the Pelicans are getting calls and taking calls on J.J. Redick and even some other players, and have even shown an openness to discuss some trades. The Pelicans off to a slow start. They're 5-10. They haven't found the right mix next to Zion Williamson. Obviously, they're going to stay committed to him. And as far as the Lakers go and getting in on the Redick sweepstakes, I think it makes sense for a few reasons. One, Redick's in the final year of his deal. And two, the one down thing about the Lakers in this LeBron AD era is they don't have a ton of elite shooting next to those guys. You add 1 or 2 extra three-point shooters, make that playoff push, try to repeat, I think that makes a lot of sense. Now, we should mention that Redick's basically having a career worst year, but I think it's due to a combination of things. One, the Pelicans are struggling, and they're really more committed to a youth movement right now, so it's kind of one of those things where, okay, where does J.J. Redick at 36 years old really even fit into what they are doing right now? I'm not going to put too much stock into 15, 16 games with the Pelicans where he's shooting 30% from three. This is a career 41, 42% three-point shooter, and I think he would get closer back to that number if he were to get traded to a veteran group like the Los Angeles Lakers. I think he'd be a perfect fit in LA. I think J.J. Redick would fit in like a glove, either coming off the bench or starting for the Lakers. Probably coming off the bench at this point in his career, but he started a lot of games. He's been a sixth man before. He's not an ego-driven player. He's a guy before last season that had never missed the playoffs in his entire career. His last year with New Orleans was the first year in his career that he had not been in the playoffs. This is a guy that's used to winning and contributing on a lot of playoff caliber teams, and I think he's still got enough in the tank to help the Lakers do that. This is the ideal type of trade a team like LA makes when they're trying to stay in that championship window and add that, that extra piece to, make that extra push. You think of a team like the Nets who swung big on Harden. The Lakers are right there in the mix still, but you want to counter, right? You want to add a player as well, and I think J.J. Redick could make some sense, which is why we want you to answer this question. Should the Lakers trade for Redick? Type A for yes, type B for no. I think for the right price, it makes a lot of sense to add another veteran shooter, a guy who knows how to play, and a guy who knows how to win, so I'm going to go ahead and type my A for yes. And you look at the current roster really here, they're the top 10 guys, if you will. Your starting five, Schroeder, LeBron, Gasol, Anthony Davis, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Maybe he starts for KCP, or maybe he comes off the bench here. You got Caruso, Wes Matthews, Kuzma, Taylor Horton-Tucker, and Markieff Morris. Probably one of those pieces gets traded if you were to add a guy like J.J. Redick, but I just think you would bring this guy in here and you would get closer to the version we saw just last season that averaged over 15 points per game and shot 45% from three. You're telling me he's just washed 3 months later, 4 months later? I don't think so. I think he could come in, shoot 40% from the Lakers from three, give you 9 to 12 points, whether it's off the bench or in the starting lineup, and be a legitimate championship piece for a championship team like the Lakers are. This could just be one more piece to that puzzle as the Lakers try to repeat in this NBA season. They can already win with what they have, but you get a guy like J.J. Redick, I think that gives you an even better chance to repeat here in 2021. Now, maybe you don't think it's J.J. Redick, or maybe you do, and you can type his name if you do, but name a player the Lakers should trade for before the trade deadline. I want to hear from you guys. Who should the Lakers trade for before the deadline comes and passes? You can give me your thoughts on Twitter as well. I'm at HGramNFL, but I do a lot of NBA coverage over there. Don't worry about that. Name a player the Lakers should trade for, and we'll see you next time.